Hello and welcome to the latest edition of the Spirit of Fire blog tour. And today I get to use a little bit of a Kentucky phrase, or one that's popular here. Being the bluegrass state and the home of the Kentucky Derby, we have of course the trifecta, where somebody picks the 1, 2, and 3 slots on a winning bet. And I think Allie today at Allie's Bookshelf gets the trifecta because she's had me do a written blog post, she's had me on a podcast, and now here I am on video. So Allie definitely has gotten the trifecta on the Spirit of Fire blog tour. And today we are going to address a topic that I think might be of interest to authors as well as readers who are interested in the author and publishing side of things. Allie wanted me to talk about basically 5 things in terms of advice that I would give to authors that are seeking a publisher. And before I even get into the some of the general areas that I think an author needs to square up before they worry about publishing, I wanted to basically go over the 3 options that authors in today's publishing climate have. Of course, you've got the major press, and that's the big 6. And to do this, of course, you really do need an agent representative, and that's the topic of an entire series of lectures in itself, even in terms of writing an agent query or so forth. But definitely the big 6 is of course the option that a lot of people look toward, because it comes with potent distribution networks, it comes with heavy support on title releases, and of course it definitely comes with access to larger press and so forth. But the second category is independent and small press, and this is actually increasingly viable option. And some of the drawbacks with independent and small press are obviously it's smaller than the major press, and so you don't have necessarily the same size of distribution that is behind a book. You don't have this necessarily, you're not going to necessarily be able to get on Anderson Cooper quite so easily. And but it is a very viable option, and does have a lot of advantages, I think, for an author in terms of really bringing them closer to the process of a book release. And the third option is one that used to have a stigma but doesn't quite so much anymore, and that's self-publishing. And of course there have been some enormous successes in the self-publishing world. People that such as Amanda Hocking, Michael J. Sullivan, who have gone on to of course sign major press deals. But self-publishing used to be something that was kind of looked down on, but now with the explosion of ebooks and so there are a lot of success stories in that sector, and it's definitely raising the profile of self-publishing as a viable option. And so authors that are looking to get published just need to decide what they want to do with their book. I mean, are they trying what are they trying to do as a full-time career? Are they wanting to have a more hands-on type of approach? Are they wanting to have full control over their title? I mean, there's a lot of questions that need to kind of factor into which direction that they want to go in. And if they do want to go major press, they got to think about agents, which is not it's necessarily a big concern when you're talking independent small press. And it's not a concern at all if you're talking about self-publishing. So these are some things that authors do need to decide on in terms of the direction. And but as far as the 5 categories that I think would square away an author for getting into a publishing deal, first of all, I think that time management is one thing that an author needs to be really solid on, and because I think these are foundational type of elements. Authors today in today's world can get pulled in 20 directions, especially with all the social media, the blogging, Facebook, Google, and Twitter, and everything else that goes into promotion today and interacting with the public. And so I think an important thing to do is to have a regular reading schedule. And it's not, to me, as important to write a billion words a day as much as it is write something every day. And so having a regular writing schedule that's set in stone, that is not diluted or tampered with by the other side of the author world, and that's the social media side, the promotion side. Keeping those things in a controlled box, so that you're not spending 20 hours a day doing the social media, or because it's very easy to go on a tangent, or if you're researching something or looking up blog sites, next thing you know, you spent 6 hours doing it. So I think time management is one of the areas that an author really needs to square away right before they begin a serious push to becoming a published author. The other thing that I'd like to bring up, another point, is to network. And network. And this can be done both online, and it can be done also in person. And I think with anything in this kind of climate, the author should use all tools available. So when you're online, participate in forums, whether it's the Kindle forum, whether it's a writing forum, whether it's a bulletin board or something involving a genre you like. Find some places where you're running into possible publishers or authors with publishers that you're interested in, and start to make those kind of contacts. And when you're at like a convention, and you're going to panels, identify the people that you want to meet and meet them. And the important thing there is to follow up. When you meet somebody live and you go home from the convention, make sure you follow up and establish a solid contact. But networking is really key, because networking can help you get background on a publisher, because that's one thing you definitely want to do with vetting any publisher, is finding out how they treat authors. Do they actually pay them on time? What things do they expect of the author, and what do they do for the author? And one of the best ways to do that is not just talking and meeting with the actual publishers and editors, but actually meeting with the authors that are with those given publishers. So network, and don't be afraid to ask questions. And the other thing that I always say is, and this might seem kind of odd to say, but read a lot. Read a lot in your genre. Read outside of your genre. I say to become a better writer, you have to be a very well-versed reader. And I think this also helps when it comes to publishing, because it helps you to understand what kind of product the different publishers are putting out there. Just see what kind of layout job they're doing, what kind of cover art they're putting in, what kind of quality of writing are they contracting. And and like I said, a lot of independent small press, there's some that have some absolutely phenomenal rosters of writers, and then there's other ones that are the kind that try to throw 20 titles a month at the wall and see what sticks, and so they have a range of quality that they bring into what they do. And so pick up titles and read, and because that'll give you a good insight into the different publishers' products that are out there, and maybe help you decide, okay, this one would be a good fit for me. I think I'm strong enough to go after such and such publisher. That can definitely help a lot. The other thing is professional conduct. Definitely, it seems kind of obvious, but it doesn't mean you have to be really stiff and formal. Because certainly you can have a nice, relaxed, laid-back vibe with people, but try to always be polite in your business interactions and your dealings with people. And if you're writing them, try to make sure that, especially if you're a writer, to make your emails to them or letters to them coherent and well structured, especially if you're trying to get advice or ask questions. And and if you're in a public situation like a convention, not necessarily a good idea to try to go up to an editor or publisher you suddenly got completely drunk at the room party or something like that. So that's not necessarily a good idea. So try to always maintain a degree of professional conduct, and I think that can go a long way into helping you with getting the publishing process. And then the fifth thing that I would like to mention is that no is the worst thing that can happen to you. And that seems like such a simple thing, but so many people forget that, and they get so afraid to send out query letters to agents if they're going the major press route. They get so afraid to send things in to editors with small press or independent press, and basically the worst thing that can happen is they just say, no, this is not what we're looking for now, or we're not signing anybody right now. No is the worst thing that can happen to you, and so don't be afraid to send a lot of submissions out there, in terms of queries or submitting manuscripts and things like that. If you're going after some definite presses, don't be afraid to hear the word no. Because honestly, you've picked, this is the bad news, you've picked probably the hardest business in the entertainment world. I have experience around the film business, the music industry, and of course in the book world. And I can tell you without question, this is probably the hardest one to make a full-time living at. It's definitely the one that probably has the longest road and struggle in it, and it's definitely the toughest one that you can break away from your day job with, because a lot of major press authors that are mid-list authors still have to work day jobs. And that's not always the case, with somebody that, breaks through and is making, larger, feature films, and it's not the case with somebody, that gets a larger stature in the music industry, but their equivalents in the book world still have to work day jobs. And you can do the math, because like even with a 99-cent ebook title, if you sell 1,000 units, you're still only going to get about $350 back from Amazon. So you can do the math on that, and you'll figure out pretty quickly that it actually takes quite a lot to be able to do this full time as a living. And I don't mean to scare you with that, but at the same time, that's another reason why you should not fear the word no. And you should go at, not be afraid to go after the targets that you identify, because, progress is tough, and you're going to have to develop a thick skin, be resilient, and go after it. So, then as a final kind of commentary, I do think that self-publishing is a viable option. And I myself am been published by small presses. My series is Fires in Eden series and Rising Dawn Saga with 7 Star Press. Proud to have my Harvey and Solomon steampunk stories with Kurlak Publishing, but self-publishing is definitely something to look at. But the key thing, if you decide to go that route, it gives you more control, but you have to treat it like a press. You have to treat it as if you were an independent press, and that goes from the editing to the layout to the cover art and to having a marketing plan. You have to treat your self-published work like a full press would treat a title release. And that means that you really need to make sure you get a good editor freelance. You get somebody that knows the layout if you're doing print, or ebook formatting if you're going that route. Get good cover art and have a definite marketing plan. You should treat it like a press. And if you can do that, and you feel like you can put together the right kind of team to do a good title, self-publishing is an option. So those are my words, I think, of advice. I hope it made a little bit of sense to you, and looking forward to seeing a lot of great stuff in the future, because this market's just exploding, and lots of cross-genre kind of titles are coming out now, and a lot of authors are taking chances, and especially with the ebook world, a lot of people are doing some different things. So it's an exciting time to be an author, but it's not an easy one. So do your homework, and hopefully take a few of the things I've said today in mind. And best wishes, and hope to see you out there in the publishing world. So take care, and thanks again, Allie, for having me on the Spirit of Fire tour, and I hope this is a little bit helpful for your audience. Bye-bye.